start like oh, word.
Okay.
So the recording is in progress, as you just heard. The Sangha is going to be recorded. We'll be adding it to our video library. And I think this is a really wonderful time for just introductions, and a little bit kind of narrative on the intention of the Sangha.
So I can begin, Francisco, because I have a welcome prepared, and I also want to do a reading from Suzanne Santucci's book.
Great. What's the name of the book, Maya?
It's, hold on, it just left me. It's, you're okay. It's Pathways to the Spirit.
Gotcha.
So everyone take a breath with me. Inhale. And exhale the breath. Again, inhale and exhale the breath. And feel yourself in this moment. Allow yourself to listen. Live in awe. Awe enables us to perceive in the world intimations of the divine, to sense in small things the beginning of infinite significance, to sense the ultimate in the common and the simple, to feel in the rush of the passing, the stillness of the eternal. And that's a quote from Abraham Joshua Herschel. Open yourself to reverence, wonder, and awe. When we glimpse the divine, awe is the natural response, for the divine is more profound and mysterious than anything we could ever comprehend. Look for glimpses of the divine in daily life. Look for ways that the radiant pours itself into this world. Take a breath in. Exhale the breath. Good. Take another breath in. And this time, hold the breath inside the body. Exhale the breath. Hold the breath outside of the body. And breathe normally. And just let your eyes open. Keep your eyes heavy lidded so we can continue with this opening. So for those who don't know me, my name is Maya Breuer. I'm low. I don't know why. Maybe my seat needs to come up. Maya Breuer down low. I'm the Vice President of Cross-Cultural Advancement with Yoga Alliance. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's International Gathering Sangha. So I want to tell you a little bit about how this began. Shannon Roach, the president of Yoga Alliance, asked me to develop an initiative that focused on building international relationships amongst our members. So we began in 2019 and 2020 with international conversations, which led to international gatherings. And today, I'm pleased to include you in the International Gathering Sangha. During this Sangha, we, Francisco and Celine, invite you to share your experiences and to build community. So I'm also pleased to have representing Yoga Alliance, Gabby Liscano. And I'm going to tell you that Gabby is the accounting manager in the finance department of Yoga Alliance. She is pursuing a degree at George Mason University. And to unwind, she practices in yoga classes in her living room. So we are so pleased to have Gabby with us. So I think what other things I'm going to do right now is take a few minutes and have Gabby tell us a little more about herself. And then I will introduce Francisco and Salim. So please, Gabby. Oh, we can't hear you.
You're on mute, Gabby.
I think Gabby had this issue before.
Oh.
Yeah.
Earlier, because she logged out and then back in. So
hello.
That's okay. He's got it. All right, Gabby. So you come back in. Right now, I'm going to go move along and let you know that we have Francisco Morales Bermudez. And Francisco is a healing artist, and he was born on the coast of Peru. His work has taken him into Peru's remote communities, North and South America, Asia, Africa, Europe, and New Zealand. Francisco is the founder of Synergy Yoga and a master of Thai massage therapy, and he's also a movement artist. His studies in the healing arts have enabled him to travel all over the world to share his wisdom. Salim Rollins has maintained a vinyasa yoga practice since 2000, and he was certified as a yoga instructor in 2007. He studied with master teachers John Tamayo, Ulas Kumar, and Sudesh Chandra. Through his company, Soul Flow, Salim has organized wellness retreats, workshops, and festivals throughout Kenya. And I might add that he and Francisco host many retreats also in Peru. Both Francisco and, I want to add that Salim has done extensive research in yoga, on the philosophy of yoga, and he's also a continente mestre of the Afro-Brazilian martial art Capoeira Angola. He offers Capoeira programs for marginalized youth in Kibera slum, Kenya, and Luanda, Angola. So both Francisco and Salim are international consultants with Yoga Alliance. Their work includes the Teaching for Equity program, a global program that funds yoga classes for marginalized communities, and the International Gathering Sangha. So it's just a pleasure to be here with you all today. Gabby, are you ready? No, okay, no problem. No problem. Gabby is going to be, as we say in yoga, the witness today.
And Gabby also, Gabby, you can also chime in through the chat if that makes it easy for you. If you want to comment.
Wonderful.
And that goes for everyone. If you want to share anything while the Sangha presentation is taking place, you're welcome to do so on the chat area, or you want to make any comments or questions.
So I want to turn everything over to Francisco and Salim, the co-host of this event.
Sure. Thank you, Maya. Good to see everyone. I think I kind of feel like it would be good to jump right in. Maya's given some background on who we are, yeah? And so just to, in brief, go over what's happening here, we're going to hear from two presenters from different parts of the world. And we have a few questions to ask them. We want to engage conversation, so I think it's good for everyone to think of this as a circle. It's a small group today, so if you have questions, you can use the raise hand function, or just, if there's a natural break, or actually raise your hand, and offer your thoughts on whatever aspect of the discussion.
Yeah, and before, also just really briefly, my brother, I want to, just a lot of gratitude to Maya for spearheading a lot of the programs that are super exciting and engaging, that are starting to take place within this international community, just enhancing, her role as Vice President of Cultural Enhancement at Yoga Alliance has really, just created a lot of tributaries all over the world. So thank you, Maya, for getting this started, and helping keeping us going.
All right, so then why don't we hear from our presenters? We have Stephanie and Gaia with us today. And so we'll just start with, if you guys can share a little bit about who you are, what your work is, and where you are. Just a 2-minute personal bio before we kind of get into the discussion so we can learn about you. Yeah, and we can start with Gaia's on my left. So we'll start with Gaia and then go to Stephanie.
Fantastic. Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. I'm famous for 10-minute, 2 minutes, Jamaican style. But first, I want to say thank you so much for including me, and Francisco for just reaching out to me after all these years. And it's so great to see and hear Maya Brewer's voice after all these years, because this is the closest I've been to seeing you and hearing you, and it's great. And to welcome all of you, Salim and Sandy and Gabby and Stephanie. Wow. Well, I am Jamaican, and I've been living in the US for almost 50 years. And I've gone back and forth, especially in the last 10 years. And in the last 3 years ago, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina. And COVID came, and so I literally was on my way back to Jamaica to do a retreat, because I have a retreat center there, intimate small retreat center. And I got stuck in America, and I also had a terrible accident where I almost passed away. And so I was like, you're not going anywhere, you're staying here. And it's been the most transformative experience of my life, honestly. And I just fall back on one of the things that I'm so grateful for in my life over the many years was creating and starting the first yoga studio on Miami Beach in 1995. And I also started the first yoga teacher training in Miami Beach in 1998. And, I didn't know what I was doing. I literally did not know what I was doing. But when you listen to that call inside and it moves you, you just find yourself being put in the right situations, the right people, the synchronizations. I mean, it's really life being lived in a yogic way, because you're listening deeply. And it's one of the greatest things in my life. I mean, so many ripples have come from that experience. So many ripples in the world today. And it's just so fulfilling, and to have a community of those, I don't say my students anymore, really, they're teachers, they're my teachers. And just now I'm just finding myself in a deeper way, in a lived experience of yoga, not so much in a in a specific practice, because I haven't even been able to do asana practice for over a year. I'm just starting to now because of the headaches and pressure in my brain and things like that. And so I always knew that ultimately it's something else. It's a deeper understanding of connecting with yourself that goes beyond the physical. And so I've been living it, I've been in it. And I have no idea. I have some issues, but I have no idea what's going to happen and how it's all going to come out. But I'm going to trust it because I feel safe. I've been looking at all of you and I just feel pretty safe today, right now. And so I'm thankful and grateful to be here. Thank you so much. I'm complete at this time.
Can I say something? Yes, you are having santosha, contentment, and that is just so wonderful to hear. I want to give you an idea. One of the most profound yoga asana or postures is Shavasana, which is the corpse or the pose of repose. So that is something that you can do to just to refresh your sadhana. Simply do that posture while your body is healing. So I just had to tell you that.
Oh, thank you. It's my favorite posture right now.
Oh,
since a
wonderful.
year.
You're doing it. Oh, good,
Yeah.
good,
Oh my
good.
God. I mean, what? Yeah.
I'm glad, because
thank you. Yeah.
that's the go-to if you're injured or challenged. You continue your sadhana or your practice of yoga by lying in Shavasana.
It is
Hallelujah.
beautiful.
I'm glad you're
Thank
doing
you,
it.
Maya.
You're so welcome.
This is Sangha at its best to me, when we can really be a conversation. This is what we want. So I know Stephanie's probably en route between point A and point B, and maybe you can talk and walk. I have a feeling you can. She's just finished a yoga class and I think heading home. As I say that, she may have frozen.
Yeah, she broke. Luckily, the face is you know, sometimes you get those frozen, not flattering phases. So she didn't get one of those.
Stephanie, can you hear us?
Do you hear me?
Here she is.
Nice. Welcome
We can
back.
hear
Hi.
you.
Thank you. I'm losing internet. Does everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Gaia. I really share with you the process of living here in the moment and every day. And I'm from Guatemala, by the way, original from Guatemala, and living here in Belize like 12 years now. And my process is start all the time since kid. I was like always wondering and like questioning and getting interested in the people's mental health and behavior. So I started university. I graduated from clinical psychology, and through that process, I started doing yoga too, which I fell in love. That was the start. Back in Guatemala, I tried to find ways of healing. Through multiple disciplines, and start training also in massage. And it was I was doing my own practice like now, like probably more than 12 years of doing yoga. And then I start sharing it when I moved to Belize. That was a very changing of culture and languages. There was no family here. I couldn't like first time. It was very, very challenge for me that yoga helped me a lot. And then all my friends, my small community start building and start like, they were like, oh, shows what you do, because they were kind of like seeing the benefits, right, of me. I was like, okay, perfect. So I started my training. And in Guatemala, I went to India, and I'm yoga teacher normally into this. Now I teach every day. I built my studio in 2012 in Placencia village. It's a fishing village. So was quite exciting. And then before the pandemic, I closed the physical building and just, do freelance. Anyway, I was doing regular classes in studios, but also taking my knowledge and classes to people, going to travel to resorts and to people's houses. I also I'm a mindful meditation instructor from the World Peace Initiative. And I started up a meditation club for my community as a free, just to build that. Back in the days that I was starting to live here, there was not knowledge of yoga or meditation. It was like so different from that. So that's how I start, with the little steps in my community. And I try to practice every single day, which I'm grateful to have it. And now, I'm pregnant, and this is another journey that I have been experiencing, thank you to yoga, I have like deepened more in as a woman, as a human. What is like being mindful, be present, be grateful, and it's just another level. Like I've been like living every day now. But Hari Om to everybody. Thank you for welcoming me here to share my experience and to hear your experience too. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Stephanie.
Ariel.
Okay. Yeah, wonderful. I think we can move into our first question then. And I think you both have interesting perspectives, having kind of been between a couple of countries at least in your practices. And so we'd like to know how yoga is uniquely expressed, how it's uniquely expressed either in your country of birth or your country of residence. I mean, I think a lot of folks here are, let's see, I'm just looking around, are based in the US. So Gaia, I'd be interested. I mean, you started a studio in Jamaica. Stephanie, you started a studio in Greece. Oh, Miami, pardon. So yeah, so I think if you guys could, kind of shed some light on what your experiences have been practicing, and maybe even at an early time in yoga's development in those places.
Yeah, more and with, I know I met Steph a long time ago at the Guatemala Yoga Festival. I think it's like 12, I don't even know how many years ago. And also like, with Gaia, she's moved around. She started a studio in Miami. But she's
Miami
Jamaican.
Miami Beach.
Miami,
Yeah.
yes, not Miami, Ohio. Miami Beach. La Beach. So, just to hear in Jamaica too, like, because I know you do a lot of retreats there, or you have done some retreats there, I think in Ocho Rios, so how that has looked for you, in those communities that you moved in.
Well, when I started out, what's challenging is when you speak of yoga in the world, literally everybody's minds go immediately to postures. You know that. You think, oh, she does yoga. And I was not introduced to postures at all. At 18, I was introduced to meditation by my great beloved mother, Blossom Budhai. I'm gonna give a shout out to her. She passed away, but she was extraordinary. And, I feel in so many ways I've been influenced by her, but she started the Jamaican Organic Growers Association in Jamaica, and also the Jamaican Vegetarian Society many, many years ago. And I remember that I wanted to practice meditation or something. I wanted to find a way to practice. And I found a way. I found a teacher from India. And when I told her, she said, absolutely not. I don't know these people. They could be some cult. No, I'm not gonna. I go, but Blossom, her name is Blossom. I'm like, Blossom, these people are so beautiful. And she said, mm-mm. She says, if anything, I'll do it. I'll do it first. Let me go and try it to see if it's right for my kids. And I was 18. And this woman did that. This mother of mine did that. She got the meditation techniques, started practicing. And when we saw the transformation, and then within a year, she said, okay. So really, that's how I came to yoga. And I still didn't know it was yoga then. It was meditation. And I would say that's my real beginning. And I'll tell you one simple thing. I remember taking the bus in Jamaica to work, from meditating in the mornings and then jumping on the bus. And this was an amazing experience. I would be holding on and looking at people in the bus, sitting and standing, and we're all going to work. We're packed like sardines in the bus. And I remember so many times feeling, oh my God, we are all one. I didn't know this. And I remember inquiring, like, how is this coming? And I realized it was from meditation. It was from connecting with a place within myself that had no boundaries. It had no color. It had no gender. It seemed to me it had none of these things that I was taught that makes us define ourselves by, you know, these kinds of things that we've put on, these hats, these masks. And then it just developed over time, and it just got so strong within myself. And I hope I'm answering this correctly, but so from that early time, I do get emotional, which is wonderful. I learned so early how to embrace others so powerfully. I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught, be a good girl, be kind. I mean, you know, you learn these things, yes, in school, and I was raised Catholic, but it was coming from within. This was an experience that was happening within me. And my mother, I would bring people home. She said, listen, I don't know these people. You can't bring them home. I go, but Mommy, Blossom, they're so beautiful. I met them at the bus stop and we were talking. And so I just know from an early age, I was already a gatherer.
Yeah.
I was a community person. And I've been doing that ever since. And it's so strong in me. I don't know how to live. I actually do not know how to be without having community. I actually don't know. Maybe it's a trauma. I have no idea, but it feels so damn good. How can we not connect with our neighbors and with our community and even with our animals and the earth? It's tremendous. It's why we're here. It's who we're meant to be. And I think over all these years of practicing and going inside deeper and deeper and having that understanding, it has become such a natural thing for me. I think I'll stop now and I'll come back in again, because
Yes.
that was just my beginning of how I started to see myself. And I always had it before, but when I started meditation, it really it came home. It came together at about 18 years old, and I'm 66 now. So it's been a lifelong journey in terms of gathering and building community.
Yeah.
Thank you for right now.
Thank you so much, Gaia. Thank you for sharing, and such a beautiful story, and for your perseverance, and maintaining and not like giving into another path, like just staying to your true nature, like you're saying, like you don't know any other way. So thank you for that. I know it definitely inspired me when I met you in Miami Beach. And La Playa. So yeah, thank you so much, Gaia, for sharing. And Steph, are you there?
Yeah, we do have a couple hands up, Francisco. So I know Maya, you put yours up, and Danny put his up as well.
Okay.
Sure. I'll go first. I just wanted to say that, there are 8 limbs to the practice of yoga, and Pratyahara, Dharana, and Dhyana, which lead us to meditation. So it's just wonderful that you started along that continuum. One of the things I've always loved about yoga is that you can come in anywhere along that 8-limb continuum. And it's similar to, you started toward the end, toward our bliss or sadhana. So you took the most challenging thing, your life led you to the most challenging form or limb of yoga to enter. So kudos to you. And I want to mention that in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali begins the sutras with the most difficult and challenging ideology. So in a way, that's a way to feed yourself, like your spirit needed to be fed at this level. So I'm just grateful to hear you. It was very uplifting and inspiring, and I love your emotions. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Thank you.
Thanks, Maya. Danny, or Vanessa, friends in Nairobi, there's a hand raised.
Thanks, I mean.
For both of you.
Yeah, hey, everyone. Hey, guys. Yeah, good to be here. No, I didn't want to say much, but I just, thank you, Gaia, for sharing. I thought that was a really powerful, introduction. And what just came across for me is you're someone who is really living your purpose in a way, because it seems like these gifts that appeared or started resonating from you at such a young age, and these, as I think Francisco said, things that just come naturally to you, that are spontaneous, and that you have to contribute. This is your gift to the world, I guess, and you've made that your life or your path. So that's a really, just that really struck me as a really beautiful thing, that you're kind of someone who's living your purpose, and a lot of us are kind of misaligned in that direction, you know what I mean? But yeah. So really, really nice story, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny, for sharing. Why don't we slide over then to Stephanie? And please take it as a very open-ended question. I like how Gaia kind of expressed what she was feeling in the moment. So, but coming back to what we had initially suggested is how yoga is uniquely expressed in your culture, community, or communities.
So hi, thank you, Gaia, for your experience. Back into the question. Well, at that time I was living in Guatemala. I always, since kid, I was like towards the human behavior and helping others, but unfortunately, I couldn't have like that tools learned even in my house or even in my school that I was. I kind of like have a very discontrolled emotional in the point that I didn't know how to deal with like probably sadness and aggression, maybe not aggression. When you are angry, probably. I used to pull my hair a lot when I was alone in my room since kid, to try to release that emotions, right? So that probably my own feelings kind of like lead me to question that and to study psychology, the human behavior and all that. And I found yoga through the director of the clinic at my university. So I started doing yoga there. That's where I met you in that festival, Francisco, which was like, at that moment I was like just a student, and that festival just brought me like to know the knowledge that the yoga has like so many paths and kinds and different styles. So I was very, very impressed, and I was just practicing the asana that time. I didn't have like that meditation to reaching out, I was just feeling it when I was in the studio, why I was feeling like unified, like just in one breath with all the rest of my community of students, like at that time, my community, I was just practicing. It just feels so nice after that. And through the yoga practices and the Shavasana, I was feeling so great. It becomes like a part of me. But again, I was in the search and looking into what was that, without like Maya, you were telling us of the lymph, right? This just find this the divinity, the standstill. I didn't know what was until after years when I started like meditating. Actually, that was the opposite to you, Gaia. I start with the asanas, and in my self-discovery, I felt like, okay, so through my practice, actually I was meditating, doing that feeling of, you know, and I didn't know, like the chantings and the, you know, like I didn't know until I really started practicing meditation in my life. So I'm glad in Guatemala I have that opportunity to share with that community, and there's many like retreats, schools, and studio, which I was blessed. But at the beginning of my practice, I didn't know. I was still like in Pampers, like try to understand that yoga, you know, like unification, body, mind, breathing. And until nowadays, like now I understand, totally understand. And now I'm like teaching even more to explain my students, you know. Here in Belize, when I came and started, there wasn't any knowledge of it. So for them was like just like the importance in wellness was just physical. So through my learnings, it was quite like hard to let them know, you know, like it's not only physical, you know, mental is part of it, the breathing, you know, practice. So it started developing through the years. Now I stand in, now I can see like the community has grown spiritually here. And nature has brought a lot. Belize is a lot of nature that helps people, more than people that travels a lot. Belize is a very touristic place. And to understand and connect with nature helps the body and mind to connect itself through the practices of yoga, meditation, and breathing. So I kind of blend that and give that experience to my students here. And yeah, so far at the beginning, when I started living here in Belize, there was none. And now I'm very happy that that has developed more in pandemia. So this has been a journey, not only for me, also I'm meeting people, different kinds, and they sharing their experience with me, just questioning me every day. Also, I'm being grateful every day. So thank you.
I don't know if Gaia had a question or she's giving you
Wonderful.
a high five.
I'm
Oh,
kind of
that was
curious.
beautiful.
Oh,
That
go
was
ahead, Gaia.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, wow. So you're like a pioneer.
Well, not only me, but yeah, there's like other. There's more teachers now in Belize,
Yes, yes.
right? But in my community, yes. I mean, like as a part of that group of teachers, trying to impose that awareness and mindfulness and what is yoga, and break that taboo of what it is, right? But yeah, I really enjoyed that path, and now people
Beautiful.
like know more about it.
Nice.
Is a join group community.
I feel like the two of you have.
There's a question there. I think someone had their hand up.
Sandy.
Yeah, Sandy does. Yeah.
Sandy, are you able to talk, or do you want to type your question?
I am, I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Fantastic. I just wanted to say I really resonated, Stephanie, with hearing you talk about nature in context of community and how important it is to see nature as part of our community. Personally, human community can be challenging. And so also recognizing how much nature is a part of our community already really helps bring a little more equanimity to human bonds. So I really loved hearing your emphasis on nature and just reintegrating nature as part of our community, our trees as community members, our soil, you know, our air, everything. It's just great to hear that. And also I just want to say, I love hearing everybody's voices here. It's so nice to feel so many different like climates in everyone's voices. It's just so beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Sandy. And I've been informed that Gabby, I think your sound has come through. And so I think we're gonna kind of interject you here. If you could just present yourself as, and your work with Yoga Alliance.
Yeah, sorry about the but hey, you know, I do believe that there's a time and place for everything. So I'm here.
Here.
I'm originally from Venezuela. That's where and then I migrated to the United States, very young. And I actually grew up in Miami, Florida. So there is a big difference between Miami and Miami Beach. So my journey started out, my journey and my introduction to a devoted practice started with a very exclusionary Christian community in my hometown in Venezuela, and that was the lens that I saw exploring life. You know, I didn't understand any other lens, and I always had a hard time connecting with myself through that experience. Now, I'm not a yogi or a yoga practice on my daily meditation, but I have done yoga, and through meditation it has taught me to understand myself further. And in my journey I discovered that the more I understand about myself, the more I understand about other people. And in connecting closer with myself, it gave me more of an empathetic lens with others as well. And it's just, I really resonated with Stephanie's and both Gaia's call to nature. I love gardening. I love animals, and it has really taught me to have more patience with others and around me as well. So as a trans person, I'm very new to this journey, but I find it very transformative. And the way that I've been navigating is by constantly connecting myself and my experience with my humanity, and how others live their parallel to my story. And someone else's story can heavily resonate and align with my story about myself. It's just we all have different surfaces and different cáscaras, shells of ourselves, right, that represent to the world. So I come in as a student, very new, and I love hearing this story, being part of this moment, because it brings a lot of things back home for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. That was just wonderful to hear. And
Thank you.
thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, great to see you, Gabby. Thank you. Gaia, I think you had something you wanted to expound on from our initial.
Yes, I got so excited. I kind of went off into a beautiful space there about myself and coming to yoga. But I wanted to add that, so when I left Jamaica almost 50 years ago, ended up living on Miami Beach and starting the first yoga studio, as I said. And running a studio by myself and not practicing yoga, what people wanted, nobody wanted to hear about meditation then much. It was, you know, Ashtanga and all these practices. So I basically created a yoga teacher training so I could get trained, because there was none. The closest place was New York and California back in the day, 1995. So that's how I became a yoga teacher. I took the training with others. I collaborated with somebody else, and so what I want to say is, and then we had teachers, you know, that we sent out in the Miami area. It was really the first studio, and what I noticed, and I've noticed over the many years, is that yoga tunes you into your, like Stoker said, it tunes you into your gift. What is the gift that you have to offer? And if you really, you know, stay with this practice more and more, you begin to find who you are and what you're here to do. And I discovered that there's something deep in me that reaches out to humanity on a very deep level emotionally, you know. And so the trainings that I created, even though there are yoga teacher trainings that covers everything that Yoga Alliance asked for, the emphasis of my trainings over almost 20 years was on personal growth and self-development. And we just turned out some extraordinary teachers because they came to find out about themselves on a very deep personal level, their traumas and, you know, who are you? What is the gift you have to offer? And, you know, it reminds me of Svadhyaya, which is self-study, self-knowledge, but taking it a little bit further and spending time on the things and the parts of yourself that is not allowing you to move forward in your life. So we did a lot of that work. And based on that, a friend of mine in Jamaica, she started the first yoga studio in Jamaica. She wasn't the first yoga teacher. There were some phenomenal teachers there. Her name is Sharon Fiani. Some of you might know her. And she started the Shakti Yoga Studio. And years later, she invited me to come to Jamaica and do the first yoga teacher training in Jamaica.
Wow.
And I thought, God, I forgot to share that. That was unbelievable. We had 11 students, and it was phenomenal. And once again, this work was about going deeper inside and find out what is there inside of you that's inhibiting you to become your most beautiful, powerful self, right?
Mhm.
And you know, I mean, I know at some point we're going to hit upon this, but you know, we are a colonized country, and I mean, there's just so much there. We hit upon so many depths of our ancestors and things that we're carrying, and so that has been the essence of my work, using yoga as the backdrop, as the background to move me forward. And so I did want to say it is a bit unique. Be careful here. It is unique in that, you know, we are a Christian-based society. Is how I grew up, and so it's about being good, you know, and it's a lot about denial, and I'm about bringing that out. So it was a very powerful training, needless to say, because I was on it all the time, you know. You know, if you can't give an adjustment, let's say, because you're afraid to give the weight, because you feel you're overweight and you're gonna hurt someone because of your weight, then we need to get into that. Because I would love for you to support others in helping them in enhancing their poses. So you get in touch with what's there behind that weight. And you know, so many, we just did a lot of depth work. And so I wanted to share that we did open that yoga training in Jamaica, and then hence things just snowballed after that. I forgot to add that piece.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an ongoing dialogue, Gaia, and anything that comes up for you, please, you know, you can be careful and not be careful, you know, just let it fly. Like I trust, you know, I've looked up to you for a very long time. You know, I really just observing you and the way you ran your studio and the community that you built. You know, I think I would say globally, I know Miami Beach was like your hub, but you definitely had an effect on people. So thank you. And the more you share, I was just messaging Salim, the more Gaia warms up, the better it gets. So yeah, thank
Amen.
you. Yeah, hey women. Stephanie, I think you had a question for Gaia, I'm assuming, or you had your hand up.
Oh, well, just listening, like from Gabi to Gaia, I was like, remember and connect. And I agree with you guys. I mean, that resonates with me, like self-development. and how to help others if you cannot like help yourself. First, you start with you, right?
Right.
And that resonated me, and helping in different ways, like congratulations Gaia to bring teaching trainings in Jamaica is to spread light and knowledge and to help more and more. And there's like a chain, right? Or like a flame of candles, like more we light in that as a person, it will light the world. So I love that. And just want like to share also like how probably personally I like finding way not only through teaching, but also collaborating with here in Belize, there's a lot of organizations, environmental organization, animal protection. So how to help others to be aware and mindful that not only within, like we start with ourselves to protect our world too, and our animals and environment. So I've been inviting Oceana, for example, which is like the protections of oceans, and we have a good representative here in Belize to celebrate with them, you know, Ocean Day with a free yoga class, you know, and try to link that and offer it online to everybody through their page, on my page, to show people that everything is linked, and there's how to take care of oceans. If we are not taking care of ourselves, we start within us, right? And that's the way that I try to build, like we have also a crocodile protections here and manatees. Like, so try to donate to those causes and to give that part of me and to my community, so can increase their like knowledge and be mindful, not only within for them, but for our daily living and the world that we live. So I try to link that so they make the connection. So I just wanted to add that. And yeah, like the growth start within us first to help others. So probably that is helping me in my community to give that back to them, because I want them to also, the growth that I had so far, to them to start in that way, in different ways. Thank you. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And Stephanie, I think you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you kind of intuitively steered the conversation a little toward our next kind of topic that we touch on, which is, I think you both addressed it at the top of the conversation as well, which is how do you use your yoga or wellness work to build community? I wanted to add that I really like for me, it was a really nice reframe to, because when I say community, oftentimes it is individuals. I don't include the natural environment in that particular term, you know, in that even the concept to a certain extent. So I really like that, you know, you kind of reframed it for me in that way, that the community also be the environment, not just the people who are in it. Gaia, is there anything else you want to say? I mean, in terms of that, you also talked about your yoga work in terms of community development. That's sort of where we're going with. Is there anything else that you want to say that's been important in your work in terms of how you build community?
Oh, yes, I could say a few things about that. Well, I am, as I said before, I'm naturally drawn to people in this lifetime. And my love for humanity and human beings is tremendous. I eat, breathe, and sleep that sense of connection within myself and with others, and I'm constantly seeking it. So hence, the yoga studio in Miami Beach, like Francisco said, it was a fantastic community in that area. And what I encouraged was a nourishing community, a place where you could come and feel nourished, feel seen, feel heard, and feel accepted, and it was very safe. You we brought amazing teachers there from all over the world, from Buddhism to you know, tantric work, to drumming, to body work, movement, you name it. And whatever I felt I needed, it just kind of came out like, we need that. And I realized it wasn't like I need to do body work. We need to do body work. What I feel like you feel. Like what's his name? He just passed away. Desmond Tutu talks about Ubuntu, you know, which is so and such an experience of embodying this truth that I am because we are is what it's saying. I am because we are. And so I feel like in building community, I was able to always create that safety and that space where you can come. Even at one point in community, I thought, well, you know, let's create an afternoon rest. This, we're talking 30, 20 something years ago, where no matter who you are, if you were homeless and you had to take off your shoes and maybe wash off your feet if it was really dirty, you know, and you could come and lie down in the studio. We put music and some candles. And no matter who you are, if you're a business person with your coat on, and you could come and you just need a place where you feel safe. You know, I made things up as I evolved, and as the community taught me what they needed was also touching me. Like, wow, I am also needing that. So I feel like a community is a place where you can be vulnerable, a place where you can where there's transparency, where there is diversity, which was very difficult in the early days. I found it to be very difficult because, you know, people of color did not feel, I'm saying they did not feel this was for them. I have been told that. And so they wouldn't come, even though I would create different opportunities back then. And then after a while, I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna try so hard to do that. Like, why, you know, why should I do a class for people of color? Back in the day, I'm saying, I want to create a class for everybody to come. And why, back in the day, why, it's so tricky to say some of these things. There was a woman that was very huge. She weighed close to 300 pounds. And she was amazing, a woman of color. Oh, brilliant. And she was a dancer and a professor. And we did a lot of private classes together. And she said, I don't feel included. I feel shunned. I don't feel safe. And she is the person who touched me. And I thought, why aren't we doing yoga for everyone? You know, and so it just compelled me to bring in these things where back in the day, it was like a no-no. So I was kind of very innovative in that way, you know? So it's all inclusive, and especially as Gabby, she said, she used the word humanity, a place where you can come and touch your humanity and be with each other in our humanity. No, nothing left behind is the community that I believe I have created. And even in Jamaica, I would take a risk and do that also. It's that little gift. It's that gift. Show up with your humanity, and I am there for you. And this community supports you. That's what community has been for me. That's the creation that I have been doing, you know, the creating, yeah.
It's interesting because as you're speaking, Gaia, it makes me think like when you were referencing back to, I think many of us I'll speak for myself. When I first went into yoga studios, I might have been, one of very few African Americans at the time, going into yoga studios. So it's interesting when you think of how culture can also re-influence, I'm saying re-influence yoga in some ways, to bring in that community aspect where it's not something that's rigid, but it's really about the kind of human connection with people and going through healing processes together, versus just come in with your yoga mat, get out as quickly as you can, which has a sort of function or a way within a certain kind of cultural orientation, which is not, doesn't necessarily reflect where the practice came from in the first place. People used to practice with their parent just like you did. You'd learn from your father, your uncle, or maybe your parents would send you to one teacher. There weren't classes a couple hundred years ago. You'd go study with that one person. And so that also kind of, all of those things just sort of came up for me as you were speaking.
Yeah,
Stephanie, I see a hand, and Maya, I see a hand. Oh.
I think your mic
Okay,
is.
yeah, I just want to to add that is beautiful, to bring in the differences of culture and ethnicity, and build not only for you as a teacher, but for your students, and as at the same, we're at the same level. And I like all the time to remind my students every day, because they come there with fear. Like yoga, for example, in the classes, I would just lower hand. They're kind of like, oh, I'm not flexible. And I'm like, with these like expectations. So I'm like, hey, feel free to just be here. I like to remember them. You are here to just come as you are. Just to feel. There's no judgment, there's no criticism here, there's no expectations. We breathe differently, we move differently, our body are differently. So don't even follow me, just move as you feel like. So just embody and feel inwards, trying to remember that like, help them to be vulnerable in the moment and just express themselves in that moment of process. So I like that. Thank you, Gaia, to bring that in this moment, because that is very important, and people have that built up, as Gabby said, like layers that we need to unfold, so that's very, very
Thank you, Steph.
important.
Maya, you had something to share. You had your hand up.
Sure. I just want to say this is just a wonderful conversation. And, Gaia, I think you started with yoga oneness, talking about how your Blossom, your mom, led you. And each of you, Stephanie and Gaia, you come from different perspectives, but you're really at the same place, building community. I want to go back a little and tell you that, and this, that yoga is, it clears us to close the separation between our divinity and the divine. So that's why yoga takes us to self. And then from that, I'm going to steal your mom's name, we blossom into being able to share with community. And that just came to my mind. I just wanted to state that, but thank you. This is wonderful.
Yeah, and Gaia, I recall just really with so much love and appreciation, like when I first met you, I was traveling and visiting many yoga studios because I had to travel a lot for work as a cultural diversity manager for the national parks. And even in national parks, how some, like in Virginia Key, we'd go to that Virginia Key beach and people gathered, like the Latino community gathered, like played a lot of music and danced and food, at that park. And I recall them saying, well, they should connect to nature in this way. And in the arts, the arts don't fit in a box, and the healing arts, especially not the healing arts, where, what I feel, there's a lot of calling for community and social interaction and connection and connectivity and communication and understanding and listening. And if we make the arts fit into like, power aid, power yoga, power lunch, like more, power bars, power hour, I don't know, there's like, like the thirst and the quench for power, right? Rather the thirst and the quench for community and healing and connectivity and connection to nature, which both of you have expressed as a wonderful teacher and part of our community, as Sandy was also stating. So thank you for those lessons. I just remember in all my travels, just whenever I passed back through your studio in Miami Beach, it was always like a rekindling of that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I think at this, just to what you were saying, Francisco, I mean, we'll kind of come back to the questions, but in my experience, me and Francisco just finished a retreat a few days ago in Lamu. My experience of what I'm observing people are needing now, and for us, this really did start in the pandemic where we had these forums actually weekly on the Synergy platform, and this is in a lot of ways an extension of that. But that call and that need for a certain level of intimacy with people and a certain type of experience with people seems to be really needed at this point in time where a lot of us have been. We've kind of gone through the isolation, we've kind of gone through which I don't say that as a negative thing, but to be able to come back into safe and caring communities seems to be like a deep need. It's almost like re-understanding who we are as humans, as people, and how, of course, how we can function. I'll say this one thing. We had one person, I'm talking about Wallace, Francisco, to what you were saying, Gaia, about someone coming in who was perhaps overweight and wasn't sure of themselves. Wallace he's 73 years old. He's been on 3 Synergy retreats. He doesn't do yoga at our retreats. We swam the channel with him in Lamu. He swam. He went through a deep personal purge. I won't go through that, but he fasted for the first time in his life for a day and a half, and kind of reoriented really his body chemistry and his mind. He got really kind of quiet in a good way, sort of humble, and I think more connected with himself. And this was all in the space of kind of a yoga wellness, retreat that we put on. But he wasn't, in the kind of traditional sense or what we think of, he wasn't doing asana practice, but we held space for him and we kind of helped guide him in terms of what we knew would be beneficial for him, which was a certain shifts in his kind of lifestyle and his approach towards it. So I'm just reaffirming what you're saying in terms of it's important for us as people who run yoga programs or are teachers to be broad in terms of how we receive people. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That brings joy to my heart and a few tears. Like literally, like, can you imagine in this world today showing up to a yoga class, just being yourself, and you want to go because you know it's nourishing and it will give you something, but you don't have to show up knowing how to do anything or be anybody or anything. I mean, the first time I've ever really heard that was in Asheville, believe it or not. About 4 years ago, I went to a yoga class by a teacher, Michael Johnson, and packed class, 40 people. And he would literally say, after we start the beginning with some meditation and some discourses, he would say, you can stay in the position you're in. If this feels right to you, you can stay there the whole class. You can join whenever you want to. You can stand up. I mean, I have never heard that in a typically led yoga class. You can stay where you are, just as you are. And I was very touched by that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I want to say that Iyengar, one of our well-known and famous yogis, his teacher was Krishnamacharya, and he taught, meet your students where they are. So you just accept them. I'm just reiterating what everybody's saying because it just made me think of what I studied with Krishnamacharya about working with people as they are and meeting them where they are, physically, emotionally, spiritually, etc. I love yoga.
And that's why it's so malleable and flexible, and why someone may be drawn towards meditation like you were, Gaia, initially, and someone else might really be, you know, very much in their body, like a Patabi Joyce, who also came from Krishnamacharya but had a very different approach toward his yoga than Iyengar did, you know, because there was that drive to physicality a bit, you know. And this to me is sort of the beauty of it. And like I said, important for us to remember and be a bit broad. You know, especially in this time, because we are the ones who are, yoga to me is, there's history and there's tradition, and it's important to know that and understand it and study it if you're teaching. And then there's also innovation, what we bring to it and how we create and recreate what it is and what people are experiencing now. And what people need from yoga now is not necessarily what they needed 2,500 years ago. It's a different time, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of listening, you know, it's a lot of listening to our community, a lot of observation of nature, you know, like an observation of our community and the people in the class. Like each class is a good teacher. When you go in, if you go in with a script, you know, it's you're not really taking into consideration the energy that is present. And you know, I feel like that's a lot of what you two are echoing, is being present with the people that are there. And that takes a lot of courage, and, you know, just to be able to feel. So thank you.
I just want to say, you know, this is such a rich conversation. You know, I think that we can all take a breath. Let's take a breath. That is, inhale the breath, exhale the breath. Again, inhale the breath, exhale the breath. And we do have a third question, but I'm sort of leaning towards Celine leading us further into this rich discussion. So go ahead, Celine.
Okay. I don't know if I had a thought behind. Well, I think, okay, so since you passed the ball to me, I'm going to take it, and where it's going to be led, since you asked, is on that note of like innovation, yoga. We're now in 2022. We've just come through, or are still going through, you know, a major world shift with the pandemic that we've all has landed on all of us in different ways. So really, what I think would be nice to talk about is what, you know, what is needed from yoga now, or what is needed perhaps from us now. What have we learned from the pandemic, and where do we want to kind of project this art and science?
Well, I'm going to say something. I'm just going to say quickly, because I want everyone to share. You know, we still have that challenge of people of color not finding yoga, not having it available in their communities. So that's still an issue. I started yoga in the early 80s, and it's still an issue today. And it's still something that I'm mindful of. So I think as we build community, we want to fashion ways that we can attract, release barriers, and have all people know that this is for them too, even if they don't see themselves in print or media. Although you're seeing more of us, people of color, BIPOC community members in print and media. But I think let's keep that as a focus as we move from here for ourselves.
I like that, Maya. You got a big yes from Sandy. And I think this platform, which you've helped establish, is very much an extension of that identified need, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Gaia and Stephanie, anything on where do we want to go? What does yoga have to offer at the point in human history that we're at right now?
Stephanie, you want to take it first? Let me just let this come in.
It's okay.
Well, as Maya was saying, it be like accessible to other people around the world. and to different ethnicities here in Belize. Thankfully, there's like many organizations that we take it to, for example, to jail, to women in jail, and I think not yet to men in jail, but in very poor areas in Belize, and most of them targeting kids, because we need to start with them. So that's very beautiful in the sense of like we have in our own community to approach them. And so many people around also doesn't take time for themselves. So practicing that part of like noticing that, hey, there's something wrong, or like I need to build something in me, and try to like take yoga and mindfulness and meditation to those peoples and make them like in a free way. So I try to build like a peace club, a meditation club. I share with it not only in Belize but in Guatemala too. Like once in a month, we do practice meditation online for the people that wants to just come and join us for free. So those kind of like activities for free and reaching out in different way, because I know some people doesn't have that media, even though it's still in pandemic right now. But now it's a little more accessible. So being accessible to take this pressure tool and practice philosophy, way of living to the world in different ways will help us nowadays. So like,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Going, Stephanie.
So no, I'm just like, and now in Guatemala, they have many people also like doing like free yoga in the parks, in the malls, and only online. I'm also sharing, like in Guatemala, they have invited me to like show like some meditation, some free class online. So I'm like, for sure, for those people that suffer a lot of depression, anxiety, and they only have time to, or they try to, well, the class is kind of like saving through the pages. And if you're working or anything, they can just repeat it when they have time, So that is being amazing so far for the people that kind of like look for it. But it's also amazing when you go to a places as a teacher and you invite people and they don't have a clue what it is. So like we have like done here in Belize, like kids, and they're like, whoa, what is this? I used to have like back in when I have this studio, for example, like girls from the village, like little kids was like just watching all the kids to do it, and I have to invite her, come and join us. It's like you're part of it, and she was part of it, like, and she just joined us. So that's beautiful. Like they kind of like built a little barrier, and try to break that kind of like taboo, like yoga is just for certain people, as going back to Maya, like reaching to different ethnicities and to say, hey, this is for you too, right? And it's for free and I can give you that. So that's kind of like what we nowadays need to use for the world and for our community to keep doing that. So yoga has brought accessibility, I would say, to reach those kind of people, all people, our world. And with the situation with Ukraine and Russia, there's many that they have done a lot of spaces, meditation for peace, which is, I find it so beautiful because it's a worry. That's one part of our worry, obviously, for what's going on in the world, but like creating spaces that people can join is very, very, very beautiful.
Ashe.
Fantastic.
Ashe.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
I want to say, it's crazy situation that I talked about nourishing community and but in a real community, to me, I would say disclosure, vulnerability, transparency, expression of oneself, of diverse cultures and marginalized people of all different orientation, is a community that I would love to see that is happening and is moving forward. And so I feel that I'm not sure how to come around to this, but almost something radical has to happen within oneself in this culture of, I'm new to some of these things and words that we use, sort of, in this culture of, I'm going to say in this culture of whiteness. Can I say that? In this
Yes, you
culture
can.
of, yeah, in this, I'm even asking, my goodness, that everything is cookie cut, cookie shaped, and is done this way. And so how to bring someone into that, I'm like, what? I'm just recreating that thing over and over, sort of. I want to have, what I would love to happen is I'll tell you, I was hit by a car a year ago and I'm alive today. And I won't go into that. It was traumatic, tremendous, and here I am today. But one of the things that saved me, literally, it was one of the things, and it continues to help me, is when I would go for my walks in my first spring. As an island girl, I've never really experienced spring in America from the seasons. And the thing that brought me to tears, literally, people saw me on the road crying. And one man, he said, I was on his property, and he says, why are you crying? And I said, I have never seen anything so beautiful. And this was a flower. It was in the shape of a heart. It's called Bleeding Heart. And next to it, this man had a garden that was profused with all kinds of colors and flowers. And I've only seen this in movies and in pictures, but here I was looking at this and it opened my heart. I thought, this is the world I want to live in. Yeah. This is my world. This is my brain. This is all the different parts of my brain that does different things. And yet when it's whole and it's working, I have wellness in my brain. I can connect with my brain. When all the parts have come together in my body, the liver, the organs, when they're working, there's wellness in my being. And so if it's off a little bit, I need to bring some attention and bring it in. And so these gardens, I have left with an indelible imprint of what diversity means. And what shook me to my core was how they grew together. Some goes deeper in the soil, some was just at the level. If you go like that, it would just pop out, Their smells, the infusion of their smells, so close together that sometimes you would have to say, wait a second, is that the so-and-so, is that the so-and-so, and you have to come closer. And so I think that we have to break down this barrier that it's done this way in therapy, in yoga, in everything that we do. This is the way we've been following all these years. And like Salim says, I love tradition of yoga and the ancient arts. Thank God, it's like a foundation. And now we're in this time of innovation and creativity, and the pandemic has made this so possible to include others. And so I think, I mean, one of the things I'm about to do, you know, I'm a breathwork facilitator, but believe it or not, I have to remind myself to breathe, is to create some of these communities online where we find our breath, and the breath says, I'm free, I'm your ally, I'm your friend, and I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you look like, how old you are, if you're bald, if you're gray. I am here to be I'm your friend. And through me, you will connect with yourself and with others. So I use the breath. And so I feel it's like almost like legwork. It's like you have to go out into the community and do it, even starting with one-on-one is what I do all the time. I meet people in the streets and I say, how are you feeling today? You know, a young man, a man of color down around the corner. And every time I see him, he looks, and I always say, hi, how are you? And one day I said, how are you doing? And we started talking and I told him about yoga and it was phenomenal. And I said, as soon as I'm better and the pandemic shifts, I want you to come to my class. And so I'm not sure how I should do some of this. I need answers myself. I feel, should I say this is a class for people of color, which, you know, should I say this is a class for people who are have big bodied, you know, I feel like I want to include it all. So, but I'm learning the nuances and how this could be done. I'm not sure yet, but in my experience, that's what Synergy did. It included everybody. But yes, Maya, how do you get this community, people of color, people of diverse socioeconomic situation, how do we open this and make it possible for everyone to come in? And for me, it just feels like the radical breakdown and shift starts with this whole concept of this is the way it should be, and this is the way we've been doing it.
I think you're spot on. You're spot on right there with that. I don't want to cut you off. Go finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's radical. It's like, you know, this man has been coming to fix her things in her house, a Caucasian woman, for many years. This man of color, Black American man, for years. Beautiful woman. And one day, after many years, she fixed her washing machine. They started talking and she said, I'm gonna make up a name, James, would you like to have a cup of tea with me? And after we're talking, I think like 12, 15 years, after all these years, she trusted him. He was professional, kind, and very intelligent. And would you like to have a cup of tea with me? That's what I would like to do. I want to sit around the fire and have a cup of tea with all the flowers. The smells and the shapes and you can feel that right now. What would that look like? Not to even make something happen, but to get to see me. I could say I had an accident. I almost died. A car hit me. To my community and not hold that by myself, which I did not do, of course. First chance I get, I would tell you, can you help me to cross the street? I'm scared. But imagine if we could do that. So that invitation has to be like radical. You know, bring people, and I don't want to say those people, these people, but bring that diversified community, bring that diversity into this container that we thought traditionally is the way. Bring them in there, sit, Have a seat at the table. Okay, so I have so much weight, my foot can't go forward. Fantastic. We don't have, like you said, Salim, that older gentleman. Bring everyone in. How do we do that? I think that we're onto something, and I think COVID and this time has created a wonderful opportunity more than ever before. And
Amen.
we should take advantage of social media and Zoom, which I'm still getting to know and to navigate, but it would be fantastic to open up the screen like we are today. Look at this screen today and see so many beautiful flowers blooming in their community, in their lives, and bringing their truth and experience with us. That's one way I think it could be done. And find people who could fund some of these things so everyone can take part, you know, offer scholarships and just have conversations. I don't know how else I can do this, but now is a good time. I feel now we're sitting on a powerful moment that we could really blast off with this idea of convergence in all ways, all people, all across the globe.
I agree. You have said it. You have really said it. All people in all ways, all across the globe. And it's one step. It's each one do. Each one begin where you are and do. And before you know it, we have these types of gatherings happening in different places with different people. I mean, this is truly a diverse group of people here. And I'm going to be quiet because Stoker has something to say. His hand's been up.
Stoker.
Stoker, that's my surname. But other people,
I know.
people call me Danny.
I don't know your other name.
Thanks, Matt. No, that's all right.
That's Danny.
Okay.
That reminds me, I used to be called Stoker at school, so yeah. But yeah, no, thanks. Thanks, Maya. Thanks, Gaia. Yeah, when you were talking there, I was just thinking, you know, because a lot of what was sort of springing to mind was this. How we work, you know, we've got to work on the micro to work on the macro, I guess. And, you know, where the work of yoga a lot is to undo this conditioning, and there's a destructive element, right? I guess that's Shiva, right? We have to release the veil of ignorance, and that's with us on a micro scale in terms of our ego and our personality in order to reach a certain deeper sense of self, but it's there in the world today in terms of this conditioned mindset that we all live under, this veil of whiteness, of capitalism, of consumerism, of globalization, of a single way of seeing the world. And you know, as you know, I think the work of yoga, or where yoga can come so powerfully, is to awaken that consciousness, to kind of bring people out of that, like that box, as you were saying, Gaia. So, but it all starts with the individual, I guess, and we all have our individual work to do. But then there's that collective community consciousness, which can really draw, and it's radical, like you say. That's a radical shift. It has to destroy what exists. Like, I love the work of this guy, Bayo Okomolafe. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. He's a Nigerian poet and spiritual thinker and academic, but he talks about embracing the cracks, you know, looking into the cracks that have developed through the pandemic and the cracks that are developing in society now. And that's where we've got hope. You know, we need to embrace, you know, because we realized through the pandemic that stuff is not working. We can't go back to status quo. You know, this is not a world we need to live in. So we have to go into the cracks and release the veil, destroy this conditioned globe or community that we live in. And so yeah, a lot of the, I guess the problems of the world today, the more into yoga I get, the more I see that it's it's that crisis of consciousness, and as we become more aware individually, collectively, that can be the answer to so many problems in the world we see today.
Thank you.
Beautiful, Danny.
Thank you so much. I just raised my hand quick because you said something about the cracks, and that's the name of my place in Jamaica. It's called Wabi Sabi, which is a Japanese term, and it's basically seeing the perfection in imperfection, and but don't you find this interesting, all of you, that in these times that we're in with the pandemic and everything that's happening, when there's amazing opportunities here for us, at the same time, I have never felt so much division. I don't remember experiencing this in my life. Maybe it was hidden and I didn't realize, but I feel division at the same time, and I feel a coming together. I mean, do you feel that? Any of you have that experience where you are? Or maybe because I'm in America somewhat, and there's even sometimes within the yoga community, I found, I mean, there's, and so what it has driven me to open up as that being the blooming of a flower also. I'm like, how could that be? Division as a blooming of a flower. How do we embrace that flower? Because yoga seeks to unite and to bring us together. But this division that's happening right now in so many ways, political, in communities, and I mean, so many things. So one of the things that's come up for me, which I didn't even know the term, never heard of it until I heard Barack Obama say something about problem, is this cancel culture. And I go, what is he talking about? Cancel culture. It was about some years ago. Then as the years I realized, so I am now, there's something that has come up so strong about cancel culture as part of yoga practice, where it's like that's part of how do you bring that diversity and that even that division of minds that are, I'm not even going to say stuck, because it's their belief. It's what they truly believe based on their experiences. And so what has come up is something that is so rich, and that is a deeper listening, very deep. But are you willing, like I said, to create that container where we sit in that same room and I can hear what you're saying? That I can see you, I can see your suffering and why you have come to that place.
Yes, I just want to say, you are sharing this beautiful wisdom with us, but we have to bring this experience to a close, just to keep people on their timelines, because everyone has commitments. But I just want to say what you're saying is profound. I love that your business is called Wabi Sabi, and I also love you mentioning about the cancel culture brought to fruition, or just that awareness that was shared by Barack Obama in the recent past. But I want to take a moment and just have us sit with this just for a breath. Take a breath in and exhale. As we are winding down, and just bringing ourselves to the present and knowing that all that has been expressed here, all that has been shared, can guide us and lead us to what is our own next step in the teaching and sharing of yoga. And I'm going to turn this back over to Salim and Francisco to take us closer to the end of this wonderful and inspiring and uplifting and evocative conversation.
For me, deep gratitude for all of you for really sitting with the words and thoughts and ideas that were shared. this evening here in Nairobi. I don't have much more to say. I think so much has been said. I'm going to chew on this a bit tonight and ruminate. And yeah, just deepest gratitude, really heartfelt Sangha today. And thank you for sharing and opening up and being vulnerable. Also our presenters. It's really, really beautiful to share this space with you all. Francisco, you have something?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
That's all you have? That's all he has. So let's take a breath in and bring our palms together in front of our hearts in Anjali Mudra. We're going to take a breath in and close your eyes and just let all of the conversation, all of the wise words, the unspoken prayers, and our presence sort of fill us and surround us in this moment. Feel your breath. And let us join together and just state, Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone.